Supercomputer. As you can see from the box I'm showing you, this is an independent, self-published game, and I met the designer by chance. I was at a toy and comics expo here in beautiful Bloomington, Indiana, a couple of days ago. The designer was presenting this game, and so I picked up a copy because I wanted to try it. Also, hey, I wanted to support an independent local designer. Supercomputer is a card drafting game a la Sushi Go or Seven Wonders, but with a Tableau building element. We collect cards, but then using them to build a supercomputer. Actually, 3 supercomputers over 3 rounds. If our interpretation of the rules is correct. The rules are not super clear, so I can only describe the game based on how we understood it from the rules that are explained on these cards. But something that I found lacking is how you handle exactly scoring and what happens between turns. But we tried to figure it out. You have a number of bonus cards corresponding to different builds. You shuffle them and you give 2 randomly to each player at the beginning of each of the 3 rounds of the game. Each player discards 1 and selects 1 and keeps it secretly. That card will give you bonus points at the end if your computer for that round has all of the components indicated on the build. Otherwise you will lose the indicated number of points. The game lasts 3 rounds, 3 supercomputers, and so you will use the column that indicates the current round. And so some are more high risk and may give you more points, but they're also more difficult to build, and maybe in later rounds they will give you worse penalties. As for the main cards, here we are. They simply represent different parts of the computer with different connections. Some connections are color and letter coded, and they can only be connected with connections of the same type facing them. Some other connections are black and have a hue because they're universal. They can be connected to anything. So basically, you have a hand of 7 cards, you take 1, you play it in front of you, and you need to connect it to something, like in that case I'm doing there, Y with Y, and then I pass the hand of cards to the next player. I receive the hand of card that the player on my right was using, and again I select 1 and I play it, and I have to be able to attach it and play it immediately. Pass it around, get a new hand, and you continue like this. And you cannot rotate cards in any way. They have to have the same facing as you see here. And so maybe after a while my computer looks like this. I was playing with friends that were having a good laugh how crazy their computers looked. I don't know. They didn't look crazy to me because I have no idea how a non-crazy computer is supposed to look like. So there is that. There is humor that I was missing, and that's okay. That's just what happens in life. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. This computer is already too big, so this is it. So after a while, after 7 cards, this is how your computer may look like. May look smaller, and mine usually do, because it may be that you're unable to attach a card, in which case the card simply goes face down in your scrap pile. At the end of the round, you score points for each points equal to the numbers in the green dots that are showing on your computer. So if you are in round 1, then this is worth 5 points, and then we got 5, 5, 0. Well, that is always worth 0, but you can attach a lot of stuff around that. 5, 5, and 5. Then also you reveal your build, and if you were able to get everything there, then you score those points. Otherwise you lose the corresponding amount of points. Sometimes you only need a component to be there. Sometimes you need certain amounts of things as indicated by those bands there. So here you need minimum 32 GB, and my computer right now only has 8, so I wouldn't be able to fulfill that requirement of the build. This is Supercomputer, simple, linear, a variant on Sushi Go with more of a Tableau building element. It's an okay game. Actually, everybody liked the idea at the beginning, then we started playing it, and a problem emerged. Again, unless you're doing something wrong, which may totally be because the rules are a little bit lacking. I also contacted the designer, sent him an email a couple of days ago, has not replied. So unless we played wrong, as we see, the problem is that the builds are totally random. It's entirely possible, actually, it's in many cases, happens that you select your build and the components are just not there. They may simply not be at all in the cards that are available that round. It's maybe simply impossible for you to build. And maybe this component is not here at all, or this component is not here at all, or there is one and somebody else takes it, because maybe I have a hand of cards at the beginning, shows all of them. Oh, great! But what do I know how many copies of those are available? So I select one, maybe it turns out that only one of them is available in this round, and by the time the hand comes back to me, it has become impossible. We saw very few times in which the build was built, so this part of the game did not feel integrated with the rest at all. When that became apparent, people were just choosing the lowest penalty that they could find, and so that was not fun. That was just, we couldn't see the point really. On the other hand, without this, that could be interesting. There was other ways of scoring fun things. I don't know, a mix of different connections, the longest uninterrupted yellow connection. Then you could always score that. I mean, there's gonna be some of those. If you could find other ways to give that bonus scoring, that would be great, and not a way that in most cases is gonna be impossible to fulfill, because then it's just frustrating. But without that, the game, well, it's very simple. It's a little bland, because ultimately, yes, oh yes, I like the idea of, well, I'm creating certain connections and forming my tableau and getting some cards that are not worth much or anything, but they give me more flexibility. Pushing my luck, getting connections that do not really connect anywhere else, and therefore increasing my chances of putting cards in my scrap pile. Cards in your scrap pile, they will score the negative points indicated on the red dots. I like that, but ultimately we also started thinking, yes, but you're placing that spatially, so it feels different from Sushi Go, but is it really conceptually different? Pushing your luck by taking this one, they may get you stuck. Is it really all that different from pushing your luck in Sushi Go with a set that may or may not score, with a set that somebody else may take from you, may be able to score it? So the push your luck element, in truth, although here is resolved spatially and visualized, it didn't feel all that different from the kind of push your luck that you have when you go for certain risky sets in Sushi Go rather than certain other sets. So Supercomputer in general turned out to be, alas, just okay, barely okay, without the builds we just don't like at all. So I'm sorry that I can't give a more glowing review to a game produced by a well-meaning designer and a local even. Maybe I'll see him around Bloomington and he'll start yelling at me. I don't know. That may happen. That's his prerogative. If he doesn't like this review, like, I honestly share my opinions about his game and my group's opinions. We didn't like it all that much. We found it's an interesting variant. If you're a super mega geek, then you may like just this for the theme. But it seems like a re-theme of Sushi Go with not enough interesting changes to make it better, with one element of the game that just doesn't work at all, which actually is what had the most potential to really add another push your luck element as you select a certain build, but then it turns out you can't build it, so that just turned out in a certain degree of frustration, even anger we had from a player. So that's the way it is. It's very light, very simple, but not particularly great.